Hello, everyone. My name is Ava Nicole Francis, and I am here with the Clint Holmes to interview him for the lineup series. Clint, thanks so much for coming on.
I am so thrilled to be here. Nice to meet you.
It is so lovely to meet you.
Susie is one of my favorite people on earth, so
Oh my
that's
God.
great.
Well, we share that in common. I just love her, and I'm so lucky to be able to work with her, and I get to meet all these really cool people. So it's a win-win for everybody. So, just to kind of like start from the beginning, you have spoken before about growing up in a small town and discovering music through your dad and through jazz clubs. What is like your earliest memory of realizing that music would be your life?
I guess. Uh, I think I was in first or second grade, right? And they were doing something called the March of the Wooden Soldiers at Christmas time. And my mother, who was an opera singer, right, made me this red satin costume. And what I remember most about it, it was in this little town that we lived in. When I showed up, I was the only one who had a costume. All the other kids were in jeans, t-shirts, whatever they were wearing, and I had this red satin suit. And right away, I felt like, oh my God, something's wrong with me, And all the kids looked at me. Um, and the other part of that story is we were so excited on the way there. I tripped, fell, and tore a hole in the knee of the and they had to go back and stitch it up. But what I remember in terms of the rest of my life was that because I had the costume, they had me lead the march. I was the one who led the soldiers,
Fun leader.
and it was a fantastic feeling. It
Yeah.
was like people applauded, right? And I'm out there and I'm in the lead and I'm in my red suit. And I said, I like this. And that was probably literally first grade, something like that. And my other origin story is my mom was a white opera singer. My dad was a black jazz singer, right? And back in those days, in the 50s, an interracial marriage was not fully accepted. They had a difficult time, right? So my dad would go. I was not accepted in the little school in the little town. And one day in class, I asked the teacher if I could sing. Don't know why, but I did. And she said, well, sure. And I stood up and I think this was third grade, and I sang, "Here Comes Peter Cottontail."
Aw.
And all these kids who picked on me, some of them who made fun of me, who picked on me, some of them who beat me up after school, again, they all applauded. And I went, okay, all right, now I know where I fit. So as far as being an entertainer, being a singer, being a musician, it goes that far back for me.
Wow. And that's such a great story of just like strength and resilience, even at that age. I
Yeah.
mean, that's crazy. And that's definitely how you know that you are meant to do this.
And,
So,
and, and how you find your place. I mean, that's
yeah,
something that everybody goes through in their life. Where do I fit into all this? Am I one of the cool kids? Am I one of the nerds? What am I? Right.
yeah.
And mine was really a search for identity, and music was it. And from then on, that's basically all I've done, and all I've cared about is writing and making music and performing and all of that.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's incredible. And that was so early on.
Yeah,
And then a little bit later on, you served in the army and you sang in the army chorus.
I
Um,
did.
First of all, what was that experience like? And second, how did that like shape your discipline, your voice, your view of performing in general?
I went to college for 1 year and flunked out mainly because I never showed up because I was already singing in nightclubs. I was already doing music, and I would get back to the dorm at 2 in the morning and miss my morning classes. So they finally said goodbye. And it was during the Vietnam era. So I did not obviously want to go to Vietnam. So I auditioned for and got into the United States Army Band playing trombone. So
Wow.
I knew that I was going to be in the Army for 3 years, but I knew that I also wasn't going to be carrying a rifle and being shot at, right? So during my period of time while I was learning to play to be in the trombone section of the band, it turned out that somebody, General William Westmoreland, who was the biggest general, I guess, in the Army, saw the Army chorus sing at the White House in D.C. and noticed that they had no people of color in the entire chorus.
Oh my
So
gosh.
he sent, yeah, down to the naval base, the Army base where I was training, and said, "Do you have any? people there of color who sing. And I had already told everybody there that I sang. And they sent me up to DC and I auditioned for the chorus and I got in. And I was the first African American in the United States Army chorus. So I spent my last 2.5 years in the service singing in Washington, D.C. in the Army chorus. Again, very life changing, obviously.
I'm sure. Yeah. I think being a person of color, especially in the arts too, is very important. I'm Native American and Mexican, and so I think that yeah, having like people of color be acknowledged and included in things is now more normalized, but definitely at the time was not. And so I think you were definitely like a leader of that as well, from, always a leader.
Well, it's funny. I didn't know how to lead. I mean, I didn't consider myself like the guy who said, okay, everybody, we're going to blah, blah, blah. Right. But I think of my gifts from my mom and my dad put me in a position to lead in certain ways. But you're right. One of the other things that I've learned, like you, coming from a multi-ethnic background, and sometimes just an ethnic background, we have a lot. We have a lot to offer. We have a lot of passion. We have our own culture to bring into our art. No matter what it is, writing, painting, singing, dancing. Our culture, and that wasn't. It didn't used to be appreciated or even accepted. Now it is. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thank God that times have changed and will hopefully continue to change.
And yeah, we won't get into that, but yes, we have to push forward.
But yes, we do. So your song Playground in My Mind became a breakout hit. What do you remember about that moment when it hit, how your life changed, and how did it change?
Yeah, I made this record in 1972. I was just out of the army. In fact, I might have, yeah, just out of the army. And guy came to me and he said, I have a song and I'm a record producer. Do you have a record deal? And I didn't. And he said, come to New York. I was still living in Washington, D.C. Come to New York. I want to play the song. Went up to New York, played the song. He played it for me and it had all these kids singing it, right? And it really wasn't what I wanted to do. I was going to be Marvin Gaye. I was going to be Roberta Flack. I was going to be right. And this was kind of kiddie like, right? But I didn't have anything else going, so I made the deal and we recorded the song. Um, and the, the what I learned is when we went in the studio, and for those of you who may be listening and don't know the song, the chorus of the song was, "My name is Michael, I got a nickel, shiny and new." Okay, that was the chorus to the song, and they sent me in to sing it, and I sang it in my own kind of jazzy way, and they pulled me back in and they said, "Okay, we're going to have some children sing it," and they sent in six little kids, probably about 8 or 9 years old, and they sang it, and they said to me, "Now, we want you to sing it the way the kids sing it." And of course, the kids sang it, "My name is Michael, I got," and very straight.
Yeah.
So I went in and I sang it like the kids. And it turns out that was the secret to making the song a hit. It had a certain innocence to it. And therefore, I think that's why people of all ages liked it. So that was a lesson to learn that, sometimes producers, writers know more than you do. And you know what I mean? And so, yeah, then that record came out in 72 and really didn't do anything. It wasn't a hit. It just kind of came out and went away. And in Christmas time of that year, a friend of mine called me and said, "I hear your record all the time." And I said, "What record?" And he said, "The one with the kids on it." I
Oh,
said, "Oh, that came out in May. It's Christmas time. Where do you live?" And he said, "I live in Wichita Falls, Kansas." Well, some radio guy in Wichita Falls thought it was a holiday song, sounded like a Christmassy song. So
yeah.
started to play it, and it spread out over the next few months. And by February, it was top 100 on the Billboard charts. And it went ultimately by June, literally a year after it was released, it was number two record in the country. So it was a very, yeah, really, if it's actually written up in music history books as one of the longest. It took the longest from when it came out to the time it was at the top of the charts. So it was a very interesting, exciting time.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, I'm glad I hit. I'm glad
Yeah,
I
well, me too. Yeah, again, life changing. What we're talking about, the three things that we talked about, the when did you start, the when did it become important, and the record of overall changing points
Yeah.
in my life.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. So over your time as an artist, how has your musical style evolved and then what has remained consistent?
Well, when I was 12, my dad took me to a jazz club. To that point, my mom, the opera singer, had taught me to sing, which is very classical and very correct. And bless her, because I can still sing because she gave me good technique. But on that Sunday afternoon, and I'll never forget it, after church, he said, "All right, son, we're going to go into Buffalo." We lived near Buffalo. And I didn't know what we were doing, but we got in the car. And when we got to Buffalo, he took me to a club that still exists in Buffalo, New York, called the Colored Jazz Musician, the Colored Musicians Club, the Colored Musicians Club. Um, and when the door opened, it was a Sunday afternoon jam session, and the door opened. It was like the Wizard of Oz when everything's in black and white and then it's in color.
So,
That's what
wow.
it felt like to me. What is this? Who these people were up there jamming the band? Everybody knew my dad. These were all people I had never met, never seen my dad in a situation like this. He got up and he sang with the band, and I remember, and I can feel it in my body right now. That's when I went, oh, okay, this. So jazz was really my foundation, as a young singer. That's what I fell in love with. So as life goes on, you sing where you are. So if I wasn't accepted as a jazz musician when I first started, I sang, well, my name is Michael, right? And whatever got me work. But as I've become more successful and can do what I want to do, I'm leaning more towards that jazz world.
Yeah, it always goes back to your roots with that.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Is there a performance or a show that you did that you look back on as like a turning point or a breakthrough? And that could be leading the band in your costume, but just anything at any point that kind of changed things for you.
As far as my confidence and my belief in myself as a what's the word I want, viable artist in the big world, I was invited to do a show in Monte Carlo back in the 80s. And at that show was, among other people, Frank Sinatra, um, Sean Connery. I mean, it was a who's of the world, right? And I was very nervous to sing in front of Frank Sinatra, right?
Yeah,
Um,
makes sense.
so I walked, and he was sitting right in the front with his friends. And I walked out on stage and I sang the first song, and all the women at his table started to throw roses up on the stage to me. And at the end of the show, he was the first one to stand. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, if Frank Sinatra likes what I do, I must be doing something right. So that was like one of those points where you go, okay, that's the world I've always wanted to be in,
Hmm.
right? And now I am, you know. So yeah, I remember that as a real affirmation that I was who I thought I was, that I was an artist.
Yeah, wow. Jealous. That's
Ah,
it's an incredible experience to have.
yeah, it was. It was
What do you wish people understood about like what goes into being a lifelong performer?
about being
A lifelong performer.
uh, well, people see the hour and a half you're on stage. That's what they see. You know, you walk on stage, you entertain, you sing your songs. That's what they see. They don't see the hours of rehearsal. They don't see the hours of creating. They don't see the insecurity of hoping that what you think is right will be right once you walk on that stage. I mean, people, and there's no reason people should think about this other than we who do it. But the fact is that when you walk on a stage, you're saying a few things. You're saying, I am worth your time. You people who have paid money to see whatever I'm going to do, laugh at my jokes, applaud at my singing. Uh, you know, you are saying, I am worth it. That's a big statement to make, right? So yeah, a lot goes into having the confidence to do that and to maintain that over a career. And people don't think about that, and they shouldn't. They should sit there and they should be entertained and enjoy the music and all of that. But all of us who do this spend a lot of time in the trenches getting ready for that 90 minutes of show, right?
Lots of time.
A lot of time. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've mentored and influenced like a lot of younger performers. Do you find that there's a piece of advice that you continue to give over and over again?
That's a great question. There's a couple. Um, One of them is a piece of advice that was given to me when I was in the Army, actually. An entertainer who entertained at our base. I went up to him afterwards and I said, I'm a singer. And when I get out of the Army, I'm going to be a singer. And he said to me, he says, well, I don't know how good you are or anything, but I'll tell you this. When you start, it's going to be difficult and don't give up. So, because if you give up, you're done. So everybody has to go through a period of learning and being rejected and not getting the gig and all of those things. So one of the first things I say is if you believe in yourself and this is really what you are supposed to do in your life, don't give up, keep going. Um, and the other piece of advice I find myself giving, because I've worked with a lot of young singers, teenage singers, and sometimes pros. Um, I'm amazed that okay, when I ask them what's the first thing, what's your most important job as a singer? The answers will be, oh, to really know the song, to sing in tune, all these answers. And the real answer is to tell the story. That's your job. You're a storyteller. We're storytellers. An actor can tell the story through a script, through a play. A poet can tell a story through reading the poem. A singer tells the story through both the music and the words. And I'd say to young singers, if you don't know what the story of the song is, you can't ever tell. You can sing the notes, and people can even applaud and go, oh, that was really nice. But you'll never be an artist until you understand the song you're singing and then internalize it and make it your own. So I find myself giving that piece of advice to a lot of people, and it's something that I learned early on from a great director named Larry Moss, who is my friend and a great director, and he really he really taught me that, and now I try to pass that on. Are
Yeah,
you a
I am.
singer? So you know that's true, right?
I do. Yeah.
Our job is to tell the story.
Yeah,
Um,
that's I mean, I'm just sitting here like absorbing everything you're saying.
Right.
It's like a little
And
masterclass.
it's our story. So some people will come in, especially older entertainers, into a master class, and they want to sing my way. Okay, right. And I say, okay, why do you want to sing my way? Oh, it's a great song. And Frank Sinatra sang it. Okay, what do you bring to it?
Yeah.
Oh, your way. That's what you bring your life to the song. And if you invest your life into the song, it won't be the way Frank Sinatra sang it. It'll be the way you sang it. But unless you're willing to do all of that, to me, don't sing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, so anyway, I get very passionate about that stuff.
No, that's I mean, that's exactly what this time is for and to see your brain and and hear your stories. So that's I mean, that was great. And yeah, I do find that a lot and I've been a singer my whole life, but I teach little kids as well and
Cool.
that is always very true is like they'll go for big and I've done it too. Big flashy numbers that are fun, you can hit the notes and it's like that's amazing why that song though? And so
Yeah,
that is
right.
that's definitely some very, very good advice.
Yeah, why that? Why that?
So you have a brand new show called Let's Go Up on the Roof,
Right.
which celebrates the music of pop songwriters, including like Carole King, James Taylor, Burt Bacharach, all of these people. Can you tell us a little bit about that process, what the show is in its like entirety at its core?
Most of I have a home base in Las Vegas, a room that I play in throughout the year, and then I travel and all that. But because I have a home base in Vegas, and a lot of the same fans come to see me. I did a show in May, and then they're going to come to the one I do in September, and then they're going to come to the holiday show. I feel the obligation to recreate, to create new shows all the time.
Mhm.
So a lot of the shows I do have to do with artists and my own music. So I'll do a Paul Simon show, his artistry, and tie my music into it. This show, Up on the Roof, is really about a group of writers who populated a place called the Brill Building in New York. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's on the corner of like I'm making this up, 47th and Broadway. But it was a building in which in the 50s and 60s, Carole King, James Taylor, Burt Bacharach, Billy Joel, all of those, they all had offices in that building. And they'd all go in at 8 in the morning and start writing songs. and someone would write a song and go, "Oh, this is perfect for the Temptations," and they'd run up and give it. And all of those people were having friendly competitions about all these great songs they were writing, and so many great songs from that era came out of the Brill Building.
Wow.
So, because I know a lot of people don't know, what the Brill Building is, I call it "Up on the Roof," which is a song pretty much everybody knows, right? And one of the first songs that came out of the Brill Building. So the show is more about the writers who populated that, like you said, Jimmy Webb, Burt Bacharach, Carole King, James Taylor, just great writers. So the songs are a lot of it from that era, which are still songs that you hear all the time and that are recreated. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow, that's super cool, and I love that you get a chance to do that iconic music, but also to honor the people that created it. Uh, that's amazing. You co-wrote a new single, "A Good Man Now," which is
yeah,
slated for a December release, and
yay,
I heard, yay, I heard that this is the first solo release for you in 7 years.
yeah. Is it seven? I would, I guess it was before the pandemic. So yeah, I had a CD back then, an album back then called Rendezvous, and we released a single. I got uh, the album got two Grammy nominations that year. So that was a very exciting year. But this is my first straight up single. I wrote it with a friend of mine in Las Vegas named Frankie Moreno, who's a great entertainer, great writer. And the song is called "A Good Man Now," um, and it kind of comes from Frankie and I, our life experience. So the whole name of the chorus is, "I've been a bad boy my whole life, but I'm going to be a good man now." It's that turning point where you look at what you were like as a youngster, or some of the things you've done that you're not particularly proud of, and then a point comes in your life where you go, if you're going to maintain this life, you're going to have to stop being a bad boy and become a good man. So that's what the song is about.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Well, I mean, I'm so excited to hear it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a good song. I'm proud of it.
Good. You should be. Is there, I mean, aside from and including your show coming up, is there anything that you have kind of coming our way that you want to talk about and promote, and any dates that you have?
Well, yeah, I pulled up the dates because I never remembered them. People go, "When are you?" I don't know.
Like at
Um,
some point, maybe.
well, right now, I am in Hopewell, New Jersey, helping create a show called Torch, which will have its workshop next week on the 20th, and hopefully it'll move ahead, and that might be a show that we play in New York at some point, right? But let me see, what am I doing? 24th of this month, I'll be at Drew University in Madison, New Jersey, doing Up on the Roof. The 26th, where am I? The 28th, I'm back home in Vegas, doing at Myron's, which is my home base there. Where else? There's the 24th, the 26th. I'm at the Grunin Center for the Performing Arts in Toms River, New Jersey. So those are two East Coast dates. And then I'm in Sellersville, Pennsylvania in November 21st, and Boca Raton, and a lot. There's a lot going on. But the dates that are closest are the 24th at Drew University and the 26th at the Grunin Center for the Performing Arts. And of course, next week I'll be with Susie Mosher.
Woo-hoo. We love Susie and we love you. And I am so excited to see you on Tuesday. For anybody and
Great,
everybody
you'll be there.
watching, oh yeah, I work as her assistant as well. So I will be there on Tuesday. For anybody watching, please come to the lineup on October 21st to see, of course, Clint, but also everybody else in the lineup. It's gonna be such an amazing show. And if you can make it to any of the shows that he listed, please do. You're in for such a treat. Clint, thank you so much for coming on and for
My
talking.
pleasure, Ava. Great to meet you. And for anybody out there who doesn't know Susie Mosher, my wife does a similar thing in Vegas to what Susie does, and Susie is one of these one of a kind artists. I don't know anyone like her. My wife is a little different, but I also say that about her. It's like this thing that you can't compare to anybody. Susie is a brilliant talent, and when you go to see her live, it's that thing. You never know what's going to happen, and that's the
Never. You never know what's gonna happen, but that's the art of the lineup, and that's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the whole fun of it. So you know, I feel very lucky to work alongside her and to get to experience her all the time. I love
Yep,
her.
I love her so much. So we'll have fun
We
next
will
week.
have so much fun. I'm so excited to see you and to meet you in person. And thank you for coming on and for chatting with us. And we will see you at the lineup.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.